Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and this teardown of a flat screen TV. Not done one of these yet in terms of a teardown video, so just going to give you a little insight into what's inside your flat screen TV. Now, when it comes to flat screens, they are all different. Yeah, they're all very different. And that can have a couple of bearings. Why is it an LCD? Is it an LED? You know, is it a... Depends what it is really, yeah, what kind of TV it is. LCD TVs usually, LED TVs as well, usually really light. Modern day ones are really light. Your older ones, your really big older ones, your first kind of generation LEDs or LCDs, much bigger, heavier, and contain a lot more aluminium, steel, all that kind of things. These modern day ones, especially the smaller ones like this TV, it's only a 32-inch LED TV from Blaupunkt. There's very little weight involved in them, so probably very little material involved in them. Usually there is a couple of boards, and there's another small kind of thin board that's attached to the screen itself for an LED TV. So as always, we'll take it apart, we'll see what there is, and there's only one way to do that, and that's to crack on. So the first ones I'm going to take out is these bracket bolts, 4 of them. Okay, that's them. And then there's lots of little screws all the way around the TV, so I'm just going to go and undo them as much as I possibly can with the drill bit that I've got attached. Maybe we'll have to change that at some point, but we'll see. Do as much as we can. Take it off piece by piece. Usually these things are quite quick to take apart, so I'm not expecting this to be a very long video, but that will be dependent on how cooperative the screws are. If you watched any of my other videos, there always seems to be a screw or two that just doesn't want to come out, or it's in a hard place and it's hard to extract, or there's always something, guys, there's always something. So we'll just do our best. That's the main bit here. Let's actually see if we've got a long screwdriver, because there's some locked away ones here that I won't get the drill bit into, so we'll just take these off manually. With some TVs as well, they can be metal backed. This one has a plastic top, but it's attached to a metal back. Some of them have just got plastic backs and the metal's all inside. And the metal itself, it can be aluminium. Most commonly it's steel, but I would have to say, from doing quite a lot of scrapping over the last couple of years, TVs are one of the items that I get the most. And again, all different shapes and sizes. I remember when I was a young lad, obviously your TVs were the one flat screen TVs. I'm a little bit older than that, unfortunately. But yeah, the key thing with the older TVs is You used to get them fixed when they broke, you know. Used to be a TV repair shop on a high street, and your TV might be in there for a week if it was something wrong with it, and yeah, essentially you take it to the repair shop, you get it fixed, and then you get it back, and you had that TV for a long time. Where nowadays the TVs are relatively cheap, depending of course on the quality of your TV, but you know, you can pick up a nice big 50-inch, 55-inch flat screen TV nowadays probably for about 350 quid. Now, I'm not saying 350 quid is nice and cheap for everyone or affordable for everyone, but you know, when you think with flat screen TVs you can get them up to a grand, 1500 quid, you know, depending on how technologically advanced it is. Is it a 3D TV? Is it a Ultra HD TV? All these things, they can be expensive, but you know, again, depending on where you're buying your TV, you can actually pick up really reasonably priced ones with a lot of those features. But yeah, you know, there's a wide range, as I say, curved TVs and all that kind of stuff nowadays as well, don't you? So there's so much scope out there in terms of what type of TV you want. You know, does it support your digital framework within your home, your cinema surround sound, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, for me, I've obviously got surround sound units as well, and at home I do have a nice big TV in the living room, got a nice big TV in the bedroom, but you know, they weren't overly expensive, they were kind of overspent. And I've had them for a good bit of time now, you know. I do though have a 2.5-year-old daughter who does her best on a daily basis to try and destroy the TV in the living room. She's not succeeded yet, so you know, positives and all that. Hopefully we'll have it for a bit longer. Okay, now let's see here. One stubborn screw keeping the back unit on. Okay, has been a lot of screws there, not a lot of video action, apologies for that, but you know, it's not all about video action, guys, it's sometimes just about conversation as well, you know, about chat, about your TVs. What kind of TV do you think's best? What kind of TV floats your boat? Is it an Ultra HD? Is it the curved TVs? You know, is it? Do you like the kind of new Sky Glass TV, where it doesn't actually need a Sky Digital box anymore? So that takes the recovery of Sky boxes off my agenda, so everyone gets one of them. Which I do love a Sky box because they're absolutely fantastic for recovery of gold pins. Okay, so there's the first piece off. Still connected to something. I think it's just the speakers. So I'm just going to snip them. And this one. Okay. Free up that unit. Cut the little bits of steel bracket on there as well. I will remove that later. But at the moment we'll just try to show you what's in the TV. We've got a little bracket here. Remove that. Not sure if that's aluminium. No, it's steel. We'll just stick that into our steel pile. and cluttering up our area, which is already more than cluttered. Get some of the wires off. Okay, this one. That one. Kept them by a screw. These are the other screws of this main board. Alrighty, oh, still another couple of screws. Okay, that's released the second bracket. Again, another steel bracket, so I'm sticking in a steel file. And we release the board. Okay, once again, make sure we get all the wires off it so we can have a proper look at our board. Alrighty, there's our board. Okay, so two pieces to this board. We've got the little bit with the jacks attached to the main board, attached by little gold pins. So that's good. Yeah, little gold pins. So we'll put that with our other boards, really just for the gold pin recovery on that one. And then our main board. So our main board's got a little transformer here. It's got a couple of little copper reels there. It's got a little aluminium heatsink on top of a chip. Little gold pins. Nice little gold pins there. On these connectors this side there'll be gold as well. They're just gold tops. The whole thing isn't gold, as you can see here. And some other connectors. On the back of this heatsink there'll be a transistor. I don't think I can pull that up to show at this point. No, I can't. And there's a little copper reel inside this piece here. Some diodes. A couple of little capacitors. Silver recovery. Some MLCCs in here. Gold pins in this connector. And there'll be gold pins in here as well, but it'll probably be one-sided gold plated pins. A couple of IC chips dotted around the board. And that's about it. Not the greatest value boards. There's a lot of IC chip, flatback IC chip. Well, it's actually a two-sided chip, as they call them. Get your two-sided and your four-sided, and then you get your flat packs. So there's a two-sided one. Nothing really much else on there. You know, not the greatest lot on the board, but a little bit. Little crystal oscillator there as well. Alright, so that's the first board. Let's see if we can find anything else here. Okay. So we'll remove the wires. This one's connected to the switch. So switch here. Okay, those little clicks you hear as a switch is the connections inside, and the connections are silver. Yeah, so all electrical switches, they have a little silver connection. So if you open up the switch, inside it is a little nub of silver, and when it makes that click, it is connecting the two silver connections together. Okay, so something to be aware of. We do keep the switches, and we do take the silver from them. Okay, and the little pieces here as well, the connectors, they're brass. Okay, so there's not a little bit of brass as well. A little bit of brass, a little bit of silver inside one switch. Okay, so moving on. These connectors are usually copper. They obviously don't look like copper because they're silver, but they're either zinc plated or tin plated copper. I think they're zinc plated, but they are copper, so I do actually take them off, keep them all together with you know, a big in a big box, and once I've got enough of them, obviously they'll just we'll make sure they're all nice and clean, and yeah, basically use them as copper. It's number 2 copper, I think it is. I think if it's zinc plated, you can still put it as number 2 copper, but not 100% sure. I'll probably just take them to the scrapyard as a big box of, you know, those connectors and see what they'll give me for them. I am not 100% sure. Okay, so we cut the connections off of the wire, and then we've got our insulated copper wire. Again, don't know what you guys would do with it. I strip all my copper wire down, as long as it is copper wire. When you strip it back, if it's nice bright copper, fantastic. If it's silver, then it's usually, again, just some sort of coating over the copper wire itself. And I would just sell that as insulated copper wire. With this one, strip back a little bit, as you can see, nice bright copper wire. So that there is what we call stripping wire. Okay, so we'll put the wire to one side, take all the wire connections off, some are still attached to very small boards. That board doesn't want to come off, so we'll get the manual on it. Okay, that's the little board that was the wires attached to. Nothing much on there. Certainly nothing for me to recover, so I can go in the bin, and we'll just snip the wire. Add that to our wire pile. It's important when you're taking your wire to the scrapyard, if you are selling it like this as insulated wire, that you are taking the connectors off it. Always take the connectors off it. If you don't, they won't take it. Okay, so just make sure you do that. Okay, so what are we left with here? We're left a couple of brackets still attached. I do usually take these brackets off because, you know, at first glance they're just steel and they're attached to a steel back. But you never know, they might be aluminium, so let's check. Okay, definitely steel, but that's fine. You never know unless you check. And obviously we recovered steel as well. Wish I didn't recover steel, but there we go. Some money in the bank. But yeah, just gets in the way because you need loads of it to make any money from it. And all the time and effort spent doing this stuff, you know, you got to weigh it up. Is it worth it? Is it worth spending all that time to recover steel? Well, it is if you're also recovering aluminium and brass and silver and gold. Okay, so ribbon cable. Ribbon cable is gold. I don't know if you can see, but it is gold. Okay, that is gold plating. So we will put that ribbon cable with the rest of our gold plated ribbon cables to recover gold at a later date. Okay. And the last little cable out as well, encased in a piece of ferrite as well. Usually when it's encased a little bit of ferrite in like this, it's about interference. So it's to actually prevent the signal being interfered with from other devices. So, you know, if you see little bits of ferrite round the wire, you get it a lot on power cords, especially on things like laptops. You'll see there's a little bit like that wrapped around the wire, and that's what it's for. It stops interference with the signal. So that's the reason that's there. Okay, so as said before, there's a little flat piece like this that attaches to the screen itself, and the good thing about these flat bits is they do contain these little connection pieces, and they're always gold plated in there. To my experience, they're always gold plated. Sometimes you'll get maybe just a little bit of gold plating on them, but usually the full pins inside them are all gold plated. Quite difficult to get off and extract them out, a little bit time consuming, but you know, I do it. And then you've got your gold fingers along here, and again you can actually just trim all this and you can sell these as gold fingers, you know, on the internet. So you've got lots of them. You can build them up pretty quickly, and then you can sing Goldfinger. Yeah, sorry about that. Alrighty, plastic piece off. So now we've got the main PCB board off now. We've just got to disconnect the plastic front from the metal back, and inside I imagine there's going to be some little light bulb strips in there as well. So we'll change the bit because we need quite a pointy bit to get these smaller screws out. So one thing I do find about TVs, it's just like it's endless screws, you know. As I said, with the older style ones, I actually took apart probably a week ago, about a week ago. I took apart a really old first generation LED TV, and I mean, it was, you know, must have been one of the kind of first ones ever made, and it was heavy as hell. I mean, really heavy. And the reason for that was inside there was lots and lots of brackets, big steel brackets, and a big steel base, but there was also nice big chunks of aluminium in there as well. Sometimes with these old TVs as well, it looks like, you know, it's not magnetic, you think it's aluminium. Sometimes it's can be something else as well. It's not always aluminium, I think it can be nickel as well. But yeah, it was a real surprise, the weight of the TV. And when I actually got it open, there was lots and lots and lots of components in it. Lots of copper kind of spools, really big ones at that. The MLC, the capacitors, the capacitors inside it were absolutely huge as well. But yeah, it was just really kind of surprising the amount of difference from, you know, how far TVs have come. Nowadays they're so lightweight, there's nothing to them, they're really power efficient, you know, whereas when they were first made, they first came out, they were just probably draining the power, and very heavy, and just not efficient in any way whatsoever. So things move on very quickly, you know? And TVs is certainly one of the things that are an example of that. Okay, so that's the main outer frame off. Apologies if you can't see that. Okay, use the screen itself. We can get the screen out here. You be careful with LCD screens, LED screens, sorry, and LCD. The reason you need to be careful, you don't want to crack them. Yeah, don't want to mess about with them too much, because they can actually contain mercury inside the liquid inside these things. So they're not to be messed around with. You don't want to try and make other things with them. They do need to be disposed of correctly. So again, like I said, just not something to be messed around with, yeah? Always need to be careful that you know what you're doing when you're taking stuff apart. Because, you know, stuff's not always readily made to be taken apart. It's, well, certainly not by Joe Blogs, you know? And these are things you need to be aware of when you're doing stuff that has harmful substances. And believe me, mercury is a harmful substance. You need to be careful what you're doing, yeah? So just make sure you're aware of that, guys. Taking apart TVs, the liquid in the screens is not friendly, okay? Should be disposed of as a hazardous material, these kind of screens. So just be careful, yeah? Same with taking apart things like microwaves. You know, you need to be very careful as well. Things need to be discharged. The capacitor needs to be discharged, or you run a risk. You know, because the capacitors can actually, they can deal with a lot of voltage, and yeah, just again something to be very wary of. And with that as well, there are harmful substances within the microwave, so you need to know what you can take apart, what you can't take apart, what you can cut in half, what you can't. You know, everything's a lesson, so just be careful what you're doing. If you're, you know, inexperienced, check videos, check YouTube, make sure you know what you're taking apart, make sure you know what's harmful, what isn't. You know, when I first started out scrapping items, I took almost, you know, almost everything. But what I did do is I researched everything before I took it apart. Partly because I wanted to start making videos myself, see what other people were doing, but you know, for the other reasons, like I wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting myself in any danger by breaking things open and releasing any kind of harmful substances, you know, both for myself to breathe in, which obviously I don't want to do, but also I don't want to release anything into the atmosphere that's harmful to others. So, you know, it's key that you research these things. And like I say, you know, you find out a lot by doing that. For instance, one of the things I used to get quite a lot was people would put in old smoke alarms. And smoke alarms contain radioactive material. So, again, you know, you don't want to be breaking them apart, you don't want to be breaking up the little bits that contain the radioactive material, and you certainly don't want to be exposing yourself to that material. So, you know, a little bit of research keeps you safe, keeps others safe. you know, and then obviously found that they need to be disposed of in the right manner, and they shouldn't be taken apart. So I don't take them apart, I don't take them, I don't, you know, take them off anyone anymore when I'm doing recycling. I say I don't take them at all, so they're not something I trifle with. No harmful substances, please. I can't do anything with them, I can't recycle them, they're no good to me, so please just dispose of them in the right way. So, you know, if you have a smoke alarm and you are throwing it out, please do not throw it out in your bin. Take it to the scrapyard. The scrapyard will have a way of disposing of it. Okay, so these are the little LEDs. Usually they're on a aluminium backing. This one actually doesn't look aluminium. I think probably will break that. It's just certainly not aluminium, but not something I can use anything here either. So that just gets binned, and it leaves us with the outer steel carcass. Again, something else to add to our steel pile. There was only one main PCB board in this one, and one, as you saw, very thin board that connected the screen to the power supply. So again, you know, TVs, a lot of TVs are different, as I said before. You can get TVs that give you a lot more boards, maybe 3-4 boards, depending on the size of the TV. The thin one that's connected can have a lot more gold connectors on it. This one was yeah, just very, very simple. Don't like to say the word cheap, because I'm sure when it was bought new it wasn't cheap. There does seem to be a little hidden thing on the back here. Let's have a look at that. Seems like there's another tiny little board hidden under this metal piece. Let's try and get that out. Okay, it looks like it's connected at both sides. It's covered in a little bit of aluminium foil. And yes, you can keep the aluminium foil and add it to your aluminium pile as well. Why not? Why not? It's all aluminium. Okay, steel pile. And a wee teeny weeny board. Yeah. Some nice capacitors on there, MLCCs. There's some gold pins in this, some gold pins on that. A couple of little tiny little IC chips. Nothing on the back. There you go, another board that we didn't spot right away, so secondary board. Add that to our pile. I would suggest if you're doing these kind of electronic stuffs and taking the boards and harvesting the boards, and you're taking items off the boards, try not to let the boards build up too much. You know, if you got a dozen boards to do, you can probably do that in a night. But when you start letting them build up and there's dozens of them, it takes absolutely forever. Depends what you want to do with them, obviously. You know, you can set up boards as they are online. A lot of people do that. I strip the components off them all. So there you go. So that was it. Teardown of a 32-inch LCD a Blaupunkt flat screen TV